One of our adults over age 40 may have AFib without even knowing it. So here today to discuss the signs and symptoms of AFib, why diagnosis is so important, and how patients can monitor their health at home is Dr. Jen Caudle. How are you, doctor?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So why is AFib? What is AFib and how common is it?
Sure. Well, atrial fibrillation, we call it AFib for short, is a heart rhythm abnormality. That means your heart is beating abnormally, and in this case, irregularly. Okay. Sometimes it also beats fast as well. One of the big things with this is that atrial fibrillation can increase your risk for stroke by 5 times. And that is a big deal. It's one of the main reasons why we're talking about this today. I'm excited to be working with Omron Healthcare because September is Atrial Fibrillation Awareness Month. And so it's important to really raise awareness about this condition.
I'm not going to tell you about my personal experiences, but what are some of the biggest misconceptions about AFib?
Okay, well, feel free to tell me what your personal experiences, if only if you like, but
Okay.
but a lot of people do have misconceptions about it. First of all, a lot of people don't know what it is. We talked about it being a heart rhythm abnormality, irregular. But then let's also talk about some of the symptoms, right? The signs and symptoms. So some people, when they have AFib, they feel lightheaded or dizzy. They may feel like their heart is beating fast or hard. Palpitations, like they may get exhausted, short of breath. Okay, but other people may not have other symptoms any symptoms at all, meaning you don't have to have symptoms. And I think that's one misconception. I think another big misconception is sort of the things that can sort of predispose you to having atrial fibrillation. So you mentioned age, and you're exactly right. As we get older, our risk for atrial fibrillation increases, especially over the age of 40. But things like high blood pressure, that's a risk factor for AFib, sleep apnea, underlying heart conditions, family history, etc. So those are things I don't think people always understand as well.
So why is AFib often missed or misdiagnosed?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation can be tricky because some people who have it will have it all the time, meaning their heart is always beating irregularly, so you can pick it up a lot easier. Sometimes people's heart beats irregularly only some of the time, here and there. So it can be missed. There are also other reasons as well. But this is why I say, there's a few things that we really need to be doing here. And Omron Healthcare has a campaign called Going for Zero. The idea is going for zero heart attacks and strokes. And remember, one of the big, almost most important things about AFib is that it definitely increases your risk for stroke. That's one of the main problems. But I should say, because people may be listening and saying, oh gosh, but can I live a healthy, happy life with it? Yes, you can. You can be treated to lower the stroke risk, etc. But this is why I say going to the doctor is super important. Listening to your body is important. And using potential tools that you might be able to use at home are important as well.
Now, what may be some warning signs of AFib?
Yeah, so some of the warning signs are things that I mentioned, the palpitations, heart beating fast, hard, fatigue, lightheadedness, etc. But again, remember, not everybody has signs and symptoms. And that's why, as I mentioned, the three things I just said, going to the doctor, that's important to do even when you're feeling healthy, like for a yearly physical. As a family doctor, yearly physicals are very important to me. But I, as a family doctor, pick up a number of patients with AFib every year that didn't have it before, but that we pick up sort of incidentally when we were doing something else in the visit. The other part to that is listening to your body. For those who do have symptoms, listen to your body and seek medical care. And the third thing is, there are some tools that we might be able to use at home to enhance our health. Armon Health Care has, well, they have blood pressure monitors and other things. I've used those for years and recommended those to my patients, but they have a device called Complete. It's not only a blood pressure monitor, but also an EKG machine all in one. And I think this could be a really excellent tool for a lot of people as they are sort of utilizing different tools that they, can have at home, working with their doctor. So there are a number of things that can be done in response to the symptoms that you asked about and other important aspects of AFib.
So, doctor, what are some ways patients can communicate with their doctors about potential AFib and reduce their stroke risk?
Yeah, so this is all the name of the game here is all about communication and working to minimize your risk factors for AFib. So some of the risk factors we talked about: age. Well, you can't do anything about age. And, if we're blessed, we keep getting older, and that's a wonderful thing. But things like blood pressure, making sure that your blood pressure is controlled. Again, utilizing tools at home to help, whether it's checking your blood pressure at home, seeing your doctor, working with your doctor. If you have sleep apnea, treating your sleep apnea, and doing other things. And again, having that open, honest dialogue with your doctor, that's really what we want. And seeing your doctor regularly, right? See, it's going to be a lot harder in some situations to find these things, to pick these things up if we don't see you. So making sure that you have that point of contact is really going to open up the possibilities.
Now, where can we go to learn more?
Sure. I recommend going to omronhealthcare.com. You can learn more about some tools that you might be able to use at home for your health, but also you can learn more about AFib, atrial fibrillation.
Been speaking with Dr. Jen. I will let you know what happened to me. What happened to me at the beginning of August was I work out. I wasn't drinking enough water, and my heart started beating real fast. I felt it. Had my brother take me to the hospital and found out that I was dehydrated. And my heart rate went up to 180. Yeah, so that's what happened with me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? I'm sorry that that happened to you. I appreciate you sharing your story, because I think you're giving a really important lesson to all of us, which is you listen to your body. I mean, you didn't feel right, and you allowed someone to take you to the hospital, and you were able to figure out what was going on. And thank goodness, I don't want to say thank goodness it was just dehydration, because that can be very, very serious. But thank goodness you got medical care and medical treatment. So I really appreciate that story, because hopefully your listeners will say, okay, they'll remember the story you described and do the same if they're not feeling well.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. And again, thank you for letting me to share my experience.
Sure. Thank you. And thanks for having me.
Thank you.